what Arizona is. This is one of those meetings, right?
It's DPA, the Drug Policy Alliance.
Yeah, yeah. You need to be there for all kinds of reasons.
I don't want
And
to be there
so
for
does
you, my
Yaz.
friend.
But I know that y'all will be with me in spirit, and so we will we'll figure it out. But
Okay.
I'm gonna talk to Lisa and then I'll get back a hold of you.
Okay, and we can Skype in too if we need to, whatever we need to do.
And
Okay.
Keisha, I'm getting an award that you've already won.
Oh, well, actually, I saw that you were, and I'm going to try my best to be able to make it to support you.
Oh, thank you so much. I know there's all kinds of stuff going on, so don't worry, but I appreciate it.
Congratulations.
And it's long overdue. So I will tell you, Stevie Wonder got it the year after I got it. And
Wow.
And I'm such a fan. When I was at the program in California, I kept saying, I think all of the winners should take a picture together. It was only me and him.
Well, believe me, anybody, if Nikichi is there and if Stevie Wonder shows up, it'll be the three of us. Just winners from these particular years. All the rest of y'all get the fuck out of here. I'm sorry, I said that word again.
It's all good. So I know it's a Friday night, so I don't want to take up too much your time, but thank you everyone for joining. We do have one more board member, but I have not heard a confirmation that he's coming. We have a majority, but we'll be talking about that in a moment. For those who don't know, I just want to formally make sure everyone knows who Andrea Crabtree is. She works very closely with Jeff Robinson. She is his chief of staff, and she is involved in any and everything that he does. And I do a lot of things with Jeff, and Andrea is not only his right person. I've come to rely upon her as my right person, particularly whenever I need to be in touch with Jeff, et cetera, et cetera. So she was at our first board meeting as well. I just want to make sure no one has any problems with her presence.
Thank you.
So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Cynthia Roseberry. And since actually we have not formally met in a year, and I say formally because informally I've talked to all of you all, maybe Cynthia, might be good if we can, each person just give her like a 1-minute bio of themselves with that kind of, because I don't know if everybody really knows Sherman, or Sherman might not necessarily recall Jeff and Cynthia are, and the like, and Andrea. So I'm going to turn it over to our chair of the board, Cynthia Roseberry.
Thank you, Nkichi. I'll start, as you suggested, with introduction. Cynthia Roseberry. I am, for the next 7 days, acting director of the Justice Division at the ACLU. After October 1st, director of the Justice Division at the ACLU, national office. I'm a lifelong criminal defense lawyer in my heart and soul. So that's who I am. I will popcorn to Bill. Can I call you Bill or should I call you William? You're on mute.
You're mute.
Yes, I'm not known as either. I'm known as Sherman.
Okay, Sherman.
Yeah, nobody, if you were to say William or Bill, nobody would know who you're talking about. So Sherman is my middle name, and my parents just called me that, and I thought it was my first name until I had to start signing legal documents. But in any case, I'm W. Sherman Rogers. I'm a professor of law at Howard University School of Law. I've been with the law school at Howard since 1986, and prior to that time, I was teaching at Thurgood Marshall School of Law down in Houston, Texas for 3 years. And prior to that, I was in practicing law for 7 years. So that's probably enough about me.
All right, Jeff, you want to go?
Well, I'm Jeff Robinson. I'm the head of the Who We Are project, which I established just a couple of years ago. You've already met Andrea, who is the chief of staff at that project, and I was a public defender, criminal defense lawyer in private practice at the ACLU as a deputy legal director, and now at the Who We Are project. We've made a documentary film, and we're doing a lot of other work going forward. And last thing I will say is that I'll be calling Anthony at home tomorrow, telling him it's about effing time.
You wait till it's public. I know I got ahead of myself.
No, don't worry. I'll wait till it's public.
She said
Although,
7 days. She said 7 days, Jeffrey.
Effective October 1st.
you know what, Cynthia, I there's something else that I can call him about, Andrea, about the guy in San Francisco. And so I'll just say to him, got any news?
About
And see,
anybody I
right.
know.
Right, I'm just, asking. So that's me. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And
So
it's
I
nice to
guess
meet
I
you,
just-
Sherman. Yeah, I kind of interject myself in all things related to Jeff. So, his wife handles a half of his life, and then I handle the other half. And,
That's not as bad as it sounds, but there's
But it
some
does
truth
take
to
two.
Yeah, which have.
that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I've been working with Jeff for over 20 years now. So.
Awesome. And Madam Founder, do you want to say anything, or we all know who you are?
Well, I'm Nkechi Taifa. I am the executive director and founder of the Reparation Education Project, and I'm a member of the board as well.
Thank you. We're going to get underway soon. I just want to say, I've got that filter on. If you haven't read
I'll pull it up.
or looked at the report from this year that Nkechi did, she's been everywhere doing everything reparations. I don't know how she gets the energy to do all of the things that she does. But I commend it to everyone to take a look at and read. Nkechi, I think you're going to take us through the agenda.
Yeah, okay, thank you. We're going to start with staff because as you see, there are a couple of people are missing from this board of directors stage. Number one, Mariama Taifa Seitu was serving as secretary. We both thought it might be in our mutual interest not to have her on the board. I just want to take away any possible appearance of conflict of interest or anything along those lines. She is my daughter. And so she exited from the board. And J. Allen Lawson, who actually was my accountant last year, we're no longer in a financial relationship anymore. I thought it best that I don't know whether it even made sense to have my accountant on the board anyway, but he's no longer my accountant. So I'm not having him serve in that function. And Dr. Greg Carr is definitely still on the board, definitely wants to still be on the board. I talk to him every now and then, though he has not made a meeting. We've only had 2 meetings so far, but he's not made a meeting. I find it beneficial, though, to be able to maintain that relationship with him. I'm not sure who knows him or who does not, but he is the former head of the African American History Department at Howard University. He is a member of the adjunct faculty of Howard University School of Law, but he's kind of very prominent in the media field. He has a show with Karen Hunter. He's on Roland Martin every week. He has like a following of zillions on social media or whatever. He's a strong reparationist. Yeah, so but he has not made a meeting, so it's really up to the board. But at least at this stage, I find it beneficial. So we can have that discussion. But before we do, I did want to say, because of the departures from the board, and when I was working on the Form 990, which we completed and submitted in a timely fashion, I hope it's okay with folks, because that's why I'm bringing it to you now. But Cynthia Roseberry serves as chairperson of the board. But I wanted to see if Sherman Rogers, you would accept the position of treasurer of the board, and Jeffrey Robinson, if you would accept the position as official position as secretary of the board. So I wanted to, since we are the ones who are the active ones, and I wanted to put that up for discussion at this time.
This is Jeff. I'm happy to accept that position, and I know we are recording the meetings, which will give us a good record. So, and I will work to make sure we get done whatever we need to have done.
Okay, thank you. The meetings are recorded, and I am taking physical notes as well, which I will make sure that you have. But thank you for, well, do we do motions, Madam Chair? I'm not sure how we do this.
Yeah, I think we need a motion and a second on that motion.
I move that Attorney Jeffrey Robinson accept the position as Secretary of the Board of Directors of the Reparation Education Project. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. All in favor? I assume there's no discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right.
Okay, so I also would like to move that W. Sherman Rogers, professor at law and author, he didn't speak about the author, but accept the position of treasurer of the Board of Directors of the Reparation Education Project. Is there a
I'd
second?
second that.
Okay.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any discussion since Sherman didn't weigh in on whether he would accept that nomination?
That's why I was saying I accept it really quickly. Sherman, I didn't want to give you a chance.
I accept.
All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
Any nays? All right, both motions carry.
Okay, great. Fabulous, phenomenal. Okay, so we're formally up and running, Okay, so I wanted to just give some background in terms of activities and accomplishments that we have engendered over the past year. We've been very visible in the community. We have a monthly Zoom virtual meetup called the Reparation Movement Monthly Meetup. It's not a meeting, it's not a strategy session, but it's simply a place where persons who are involved in the reparations movement or who are interested in it can come virtually in a lively, upbeat type of fashion, put names to faces, make connections, collaborate, receive information. And we've also developed a reparations one-on-one political education briefing that we play. By play, I mean it's in a video form. And we did that in conjunction with a youth organization. But we do that at the beginning of each meeting. It's only about 8 minutes long. And these meetups have been very successful. We've had them every single month over the past year, and we'll continue to have them. We also instituted what we call a Reparation Information Thought Series, because there is, it is important to go beyond just putting names to faces and receiving information, but also doing some sharing deep thought and information about various issues within the reparations movement. We do it on a periodic basis. We took a hiatus during the summer. We'll be starting back up in September. Jeffrey Robinson graced us to be part of the first in the series that we had for the Reparation Information Thought series. It was extremely successful. We record everything that we do. It's up on YouTube. It's always available. Everything we do is available for the world to see. Again, we have our Reparation Education Project website, which we had at our first meeting as well, but it's continuously being updated and added to. We started a merchandise messaging campaign. Here's one thing. This is a mug. This is a water bottle. This is a I'm not sure if it's, I'm not sure what it is, but it's a pouch. It serves a lot of different functions. It's a smaller one that's a jewelry pouch. We have yard signs that's outside in the front yard. We have magnets. We have many different things. It's not, the purpose of it is not a moneymaker. And the purpose of it is not even for masses of people to go to our website and purchase it. But thank you so very much for putting that in the chat, Cynthia. But it's really to inspire other organizations. And the reason I say the purpose of that is not for us, it is branded. It says Reparation Education Project
Mhm.
down there, and we got the little fancy millennial thing with
QR
the
code.
QR code, say, which goes to the
Thingy.
Reparation Education website. But for those who don't want that branding, what we really want is for people to do their own branding and to, I want to inspire, I really want lawn signs to be similar to Black Lives Matter signs everywhere. People to show their love for the issue of reparations, branded with their own thing, or church signs and all like that. I will say, I haven't promoted, it started out as signs, I haven't promoted it as hugely as I wanted because I'm still not quite satisfied with the yard signs. Why? Because it's almost embarrassing to say, but the fulfillment center that we use, because I do not mail these out. Okay,
Mhm.
this is not, that's not my, people go to my website directs people to my page on the fulfillment center. So they're the ones who get paid. They send us some type of small royalty. I don't even think I've received anything yet. I mean, I don't know. It's just so, but I don't want to be involved in that. But the material that they use for the yard signs has what do you call it? It's something that California really requires, but I'm disturbed at it because it's a big cancer warning sign. Now, these are yard signs, which are going to be outside, not inside. Okay, so I put something on the website. I don't even know, something about the materials, could cause cancer. And I understand a lot of products that we don't even know contain these things, but California is required to disclose, which is a good thing. But there's got to be some company that doesn't use something that you have to put up a sign that it could cause cancer. You know what I'm saying? So we're in the process of trying to investigate that. But that's why I decided to put up other things on there that people could show their love with, but they can do it with yard sign. I mean, I got one, it's in the yard. I don't stand in front of it and breathe under it or lick it or anything like that. It's out there in the wind. So that's the merchandise messaging campaign. Nationwide survey. We're looking to partner with some type of organization. We have someone in mind. We got to get a meeting set up actually with Morgan State University because we recognize our limitations. We have the idea that there are a lot of surveys out there that say, do you support reparations? Do you not support it? What the demographics are? There's a big thing that came out in California that said overwhelmingly California voters oppose cash reparations or something like that and all like that. So we wanted to do a survey that is primarily in the Black community. It doesn't have to be, but primarily churches, sororities and fraternities, professional organizations and all like that. Polling people on what type of reparations they would be interested in. So some type of survey that is an official, tabulated and all that. So we have the idea, we want to be a part of dealing with the questions. But we're going to be talking to Morgan State University, and they volunteered to assist with that. Cynthia, I might be calling on the ACLU also, just because I know ACLU has a lot of expertise in terms of polling. But that's something we want to get off the ground. Okay, technical assistance to federal, state, and local reparations legislative efforts. Actually, I might play our political education briefing at the conclusion of our meeting. It's only 8 minutes. That was number F. But G, technical assistance. Technical assistance takes it out of the province of lobbying. We do not lobby. It's 501c3. We can lobby 10% of the time, but we try to do everything in the realm of technical assistance if it has anything to do with legislative efforts. And so on the federal level, of course, supporting and working towards passage of HR 40, we also support the Cori Bush Reparations Now bill. On the state level, New York State reached out to us to help them in envisioning and formulating the reintroduction of the Charles Barron bill, and we were very much involved with that. On the local level here in Washington, D.C., Councilmember Kenyon Duffy called upon us, as well as others, to assist in that, what's it called? Resolution to establish a task force in D.C. We testified before the D.C. City Council on that, and we're involved in continuing efforts to make that bill stronger. It really is a bunch of mess, a little bit. It just needs a lot of work. So there's a group of us working on that. 400 years of African American history reparations stakeholders convening. We provided consultant services to this federal agency called the 400 Years of African American History Commission, which is a federal agency under the U.S. Department of Parks and Recreation, formed for commemorative purposes, specifically to commemorate the 1619 arrival, shall I say, of kidnapped African prisoners of war. It was 20 or so folk that came to Virginia. But then at the end of the Civil War, the whole contraband a situation where Blacks flocked to that area because they would say, well, you can. Anyway, y'all know this history better than I do, but we were seen as contraband, meaning we were not enslaved. And so many of folk flocked. So this was in that same area as well, the Fort Monroe, Hampton area. So what I was asked to do was to bring together government officials or representatives in various states and cities, municipalities who have either started commissions or task forces in their jurisdiction. This was not an advocacy organization convening. It was a convening of government leaders. We brought together over 30 of them, all expense paid by the 400 Years Commission, to come to Hampton, Virginia. This was in several weeks ago, to learn and share, to educate the commissioners, and to participate in the commemorative activities that they were doing there in Virginia. So that was good. Reparations on Fire book that came out in December. The December after our first meeting is out there. And I also have a Human Rights and Justice radio show podcast, of which reparations is very much a part of the agenda. So that's basically what we've been doing. I just want to ask if there's any questions or comments or anything along those lines.
I don't have any questions. It's an incredible amount of stuff. And it is, it seems like if we're going to have one more chance with this administration at getting the president to do something, the more people that are educated, the more groups that might sign on. It just makes it easier for him to do, or more compelling for him to do, whichever way you'd want to call it. So I just think it's great that this is the work that builds us to who knows where. And I think we've got one more good shot at this administration.
Right. And what we're hoping is if HR 40 could be passed during the lame duck, if he wins the election during the lame duck, what that means is that there will be plenty of time for the commission to get up and running and complete its work before the end of the next term. We missed a lot of opportunities to really, really press him to do it. The press is really on right now, but we're so close to an election, things are just, you know, he did his Juneteenth, he did his this, his that, didn't do reparations, and yeah. But the press is still on for that to happen and occur.
Right.
Um,
I'm gonna put in the chat here an article from Black Enterprise where Georgetown just agreed to pay reparations, $27 million.
yeah, I meant to send that to you all, but so thank you for putting that in the chat. I don't think you all know, but early on, I was part of the legal team of what was called the GU 272. The GU 272, the 272 persons that were sold literally down the river to keep Georgetown from being bankrupt. So we met with Father Kasicki from the Jesuits. He's like the hit person in this country. He's quoted in the article. We met with DeGeneres, I'm not pronouncing his name right, who is or was at that time, I'm not quite sure if he still is the president of Georgetown. The descendants had come down. So we were involved in a lot of that early activity. Till they decided they did not want to deal with litigation. They wanted to go another route and all like that. So they didn't need our services anymore. So I'm really glad that that is coming to fruition. And one of the persons from that GU 272, Melisande Short Colomb, who is one of the 272. She also is a graduate of Georgetown, was the first to receive it wasn't a scholarship, it's like preferential admission was what it was at that time. As an elder, you know, she was there, and now she works for the university. Anyway, she was part of our 400 years commemorative activities that we did in Virginia. So thank you for putting that in the chat. We have, this isn't on the agenda, but this is important. We have 3 paid, was it 4? I'll name them and then because I don't remember now. A staff. As of now, I have not received any salary from Reparation Education Project. I pay the Reparation Education Project pays a monthly stipend to part-time 1099 contractors, Aforowa Idawa, who kind of acts as my assistant, but she mainly maintains the websites, does the flyers, you know, those sort of things. Willie Yao Brewer, who's our videographer, who deals with all the video techie stuff that we do, gets it up on YouTube and all like that. And Kabibi Tahimba, who's our project manager, who also is co-chair of the DC chapter of NCOBRA as well. And I just added, they receive a very small monthly stipend, but they're very happy to get it because it happens every month without fail. And I know I can call upon them when I need them for things because they are part of the staff. Someone new was just added to the staff. And I'm going to talk about that at the moment at a kind of like lower level, but it's more for futuristic purposes. Her name is Nana Malaya, and her title is Cultural Arts and Celebrity Ambassador. Wait a minute, I forgot what it is, something like that. I got it. And one of the things I found out from funders is that they are really into arts and culture. And when we talk about future plans, I'll explain that a little bit more as to why I decided to add that position. And something else is not in the, philanthropic engagement. Let me go there before I go to future plans. I think it was reported in the last meeting, we received a grant last year of $75,000 from an organization called Decolonizing Wealth. They have been very impressed with everything that we're doing and have opened up a lot of opportunities for me. They had a huge conference in Atlanta in June, of which I was part of as well. I also was on their advisory board to help to them to formulate the conference. They've highlighted me in videos. They've highlighted me in various media stuff as well. And their second round of grants has just come up right now, of which I did apply. And they've asked me to serve on the board that selects who gets the grants. I said, well, I don't want to be on the board because I applied for a grant. But they have assured me that there's no conflict. There's other people on the board also who have received grants. And those of us who receive grants are automatically assured that we're going to receive grant in the future. I will say that yeah, so that's one. Also, since we met, I received a grant from another foundation called Liberation Ventures. They are a project of Policy Link, and there was no application process. They just called me and said, Nikichi, we like the work that you're doing. We're going to give you a $25,000 grant. And I said, oh, wow. And I said, well, if I know you were going to do that, I would have submitted a proposal or something. And then a couple of months later, they said they were going to give me another $25,000. So in all, they gave me $50,000 grant. They are also, have been also very much impressed with the work that we do, and me as well, that they asked me to serve on their Blue Advisory Committee to establish their reparations grant-making blueprint. So I am on that board as well with that funder, of which we just had a retreat this weekend. Our first meeting for that blueprint, of which I participated in, and it was also a healing, it was a work retreat, but they gave us massages in the sauna. We did archery. The food was delicious. It was on the Hudson River in some place called Hutton Brick Company. So of course I had to look up the history because I'm familiar with the Chattahoochee Brick Company in Georgia, which literally took convict labor and worked Black folk to literally death. So we looked up that history, and it didn't appear, who knows? I'm sure there was some type of slave labor, but it started in 1865 and it closed down in 1980, and now it's a resort center. So in addition to that $50,000 that they gave, they also gave me personally a $2,500 stipend that they said I had to use on self-care. I could not use it for the organization. It had to be for me for self-care. And so I said, okay, since I never really did self-care before, I've been getting manicures and pedicures and stuff that I just don't do and hadn't done. So that was good. Also, one of the things that foundation did was they recommended us that there was a family foundation that they are that reached out to them to say, do you know of any worthy organizations that we can, they had a little bit of money and they wanted to fund. So they chose 5 organizations. This is sparkling cider, y'all. It's not wine. It's sparkling cider, but I'm just thirsty and that's all I have. Yeah, so that was a very small grant. But I mean, every bit counts, and it's part of what he called, making connections. So that was $5,000. Yeah. Also last year, I forgot how much I put in the 990, but we got a number of donations. I haven't gotten those kind of donations this year, but just from anonymous people it was just weird. Like somebody said $1,000, somebody else said, $200 here and so I don't know where those came from, but it came through this anonymous. I don't know who it was sending, because there's some mechanism where people can donate. I think it's some kind of donor. I don't know what it is. I forgot. It comes through something called Network for Good. But I reported it all because it was all there to be reported. We have one monthly donor, a sustaining donor, who sends every month. What is it? I think it's like $25, something like that. But I mean, it comes every month, or maybe it's I don't remember, but so I need to figure out how to boost those type of things to say. So that's Cynthia, where are we? Future plans. Let me just stop right now, see if there are any questions or comments. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, future plans. Future plans are to continue everything that I've been doing, and really get the survey thing off the ground. But I also, and this deals with the arts and culture part, one of the things I'm finding out is funders like to fund stuff dealing with arts. Well, Jeffrey, you might know that because your documentary falls into that realm, arts and culture. But the idea that I have, and this is why I brought on, the celebrity ambassador. I call her celebrity. She calls herself celebrity ambassador. She happens to be the mother of an actor. You may not know him, but his name is Lamont Rucker, and he plays in a lot of Tyler Perry's movies. He plays in the Oprah. Well, I mean, what is that?
Greenleaf.
Greenleaf, that series Greenleaf. He plays in Meet the Browns. So yeah, he's a local person. It was local. He went to what's that School of the Arts? Duke Ellington, a long time ago. But anyway, that's his mom, and she has a lot of contacts in the celebrity field, other celebrity moms, and all that sort of stuff. But she's a good personal friend of mine. As well, she's a cultural artist herself. Many times she engages in libation and all of these sort of things. And she's a storyteller, Rio, and all that. So my idea, okay. The production that I know you all know, you all probably seen it. I literally have never actually seen it myself, but I know all about it. But Hamilton, I saw part of it at the White House. That's not true, because when Obama was in office, they did a little mini production at the White House, and I was there. But that production, Hamilton, which was picked up by Disney's streaming service, has just garnered so much attention, so much this, so much that, or whatever. So my idea is, and all I would do is the storyline, because I don't know how to produce things or anything like that, but is to use some of the work that I've done in my books that were banned. I have books for young people about Black history that was banned by the Central York School District. It's in verse, it's in rhyme. One's in rhyme and another one's like story. I want to combine that kind of together. That's inclusive of music, all sorts of genre music, from Negro spirituals to hip hop, jazz, R&B, reggae, you name it, for the stage as a play or something along those lines. That might get picked up by a streaming service or something along those lines, but there will be a curriculum to it. It will be, so anyway, that's what my thought is. And that's, as I know you all know, huge money, huge money. So I've talked to some people who are really interested. I want to blend it with Afrofuturism, just a lot of different stuff in it as possible. Family oriented. So it's not just a children's thing. It's not an adult thing. It's like any and everybody. So that's a far in the future plan. But right now for this 2024 year, I want to come up with a story that I can put out there to see if I can interest anyone who might be interested in funding something along those lines or taking the idea and running with it. So that's really what we're doing with Reparation Education Project. Oh, excuse me, reparation would be the theme, underlying theme, some kind of way, shape, form, or fashion. Not so much in your face reparations, because I want this to be very widely accepted out there. So it's not going to be frontal. It'll be more than what was in who we are, but it would not be centered around reparations per se. And that wouldn't be the first thing people think of, but it will be more silently. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Kichi, is this I know you have that connection with the Kennedy Center.
Yep.
So this is
yes, that's those are some of the people I want to be talking to. So I'm not talking about an opera. So I'm very close to the director of the Kennedy Center Opera House, of which I work very closely with their production Blue, and they love me. I mean, I'm just saying, I have all these, connections, but they have other connections as well with that. So the answer is yes.
For those who don't know, Blue was an opera. You know the opera Blue, right? I see Jeff nodding. Basically about police brutality, and Kichi moderated conversations that included the cast for the Kennedy Center with that production.
Right. Yeah, it was amazing. I'll just say that. And yeah. Yeah, thank you, Cynthia, for that. So that's, future plan. Our future plans also are, I'm not really out there seeking grants, and excuse me, there's a big future plan. Oh, how could I have forgotten that? Future plan is for me to do this full time, of the executive director of Reparation Education Project, as opposed to the full-time consulting that I'm doing. Not that I won't do any more consulting, but I really want to rely on rep. And so I've made that known to the two funders that I have right now. I submitted a proposal to Decolonizing Wealth with the whole thing with a full-time salary and all like that. And also without any itemization for program expenses, because I'm saying that myself and staff will be doing, programming. The other foundation basically told me I need to get a salary for what I'm doing. And they said that they would be interested in putting their grant in the form of a salary. So I don't know what that means. I didn't tell them I already asked for that from the other foundation, because I'll just use the other money for something else. But so I don't know if you all have any experience with anything like that, or any guidance with respect to
They
that.
can make a grant that funds an executive director for 2 years.
So, but the thing is, they give you all the money at once. I just want a monthly stipend. You know what I mean? So how does that work?
Yeah, they're not going to want to have the administrative costs of monthly. They're going to want to probably do annually.
Oh, yeah. No, I wouldn't want them to dish it out. What it is, the whole amount would go to the nonprofit.
Right.
And I just have to get something set up, established where, payroll taxes comes out and all that kind of stuff. Just like I pay my staff monthly from the funds that have come in.
I
you
think
know?
there's a bookkeeper or a payroll company that you could get to do that.
Yeah. Okay, yeah,
Andrew, if you have any information on that, if you could send it to her, that'd be great.
I will. Yeah, there's paychecks, for example, in Kichi. And I mean, they were doing, just 2 a month for me and Jeff. So yeah, they can do it. They can do 1, they can do thousands. So yeah,
Okay.
I can send you that information. They're easy to work with.
Okay, that would be great.
One
Great.
other thing to think about too, Nikichi, is as I'm moving in the ACLU and working with funders, I'm finding out that funders will often agree to be vouchers to other funders for you too. So that might be something they may be willing to do as well. To extend that kind of a stipend beyond what they are personally willing to give.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay. Yeah. Mm. Okay. Okay, that's helpful. So I'll move on to partnerships. Let me see. We work with a lot of groups. And I have some of them in my annual report. We work with NCOBA, National Coalition of Blacks Reparations in America. I'm a lifetime member of the organization, and I work closely with the DC chapter. I'm also an inaugural member since 2015 with NARC, National African American Reparations Commission. I served in that capacity through April of this year, and I remain a strategic thought partner with the organization. So we're partnered with NARC as well. First Repair is headed by former Alderwoman Robin Ruth Simmons from Evanston, Illinois, who implemented really the first municipal reparations program using housing as its first program or project for dispersals from redlining. National Black Cultural Information Trust, they co-host the Reparation Information Thought Series with us. The Thurgood Marshall Civil Rights Center at Howard University, we work very, very closely with them. Movement for Black Lives, I was a primary author of their Reparations Now Toolkit, which is on their website and is widely used. The Taifa Group, of course. The Energy Institute of the Healing Arts Foundation, that's our health and wellness consultant, non-paid, but consultant. Georgia State University Department of Africana Studies, we have student intern placements with REP for Georgia State, as well as Seton Hall University, their Martin Luther King program. The Parable of the Sour Intentional Community Cooperative, they co-produced, it's a youth group, they co-produced our reparations political education briefing. Canopy Collective provides in-kind services. They put our radio show up on broadcast, podcast. The Who We Are Project. We serve as a strategic thought partner. Yeah. The Why We Can't Wait Coalition, which is another dealing with legislation, federal legislation as well. HR 40 Strategy Group, group member and strategic thought partner dealing with legislation as well. So those are basically our partners. And let's see. I talked about philanthropic engagement already. There's no other foundations on the horizon. It's really those two. And I will say this. At the Decolonizing Wealth Conference that was in Georgia, I was asked to participate in a pre-conference, meaning the day before convening that they had of other funders. And I was asked to present to them, to be the presenter on what reparations was. So in that room, there was like Ben and Jerry's ice cream, there was Lush Cosmetics, there was just other corporate type of folk that I got to meet. I have to be better with follow-up. I really do. Because it just dawned on me, I haven't really followed up on those contacts from that convening. And they did all love me too, but I have to, deal with that follow-up. So I want to open up to new business, and one of them is we had talked about conflict of interest policy. It's probably time for me to, I know that was a huge thing in the Form 990, which is why I decided to restructure the board. But I think I'm supposed to come up with something very specific that I have to give to members of the board. And I know that came up in our last board meeting also. So I just want to kind of open it up for anything else, any new business or anything dealing with conflict of interest policy or anything else board specific that I need to be aware of. I'm gonna turn it back over to Cynthia for this part to go on and leave.
Thank you, Nkechi. I'll just let that question float out there.
Nkechi, Cynthia, I believe in the bylaws that I prepared for you, there's a fairly extensive conflict of interest
Yes,
provision. Yeah. Hopefully that
and that
was
is part of the bylaws. That's correct.
okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I didn't know whether you used all of the information I gave you to get.
I
to
did.
use that. Okay.
I used
So-
it all. That's probably why it was so smooth getting the 501c3. So I need to look at that again to just see what it is that's in our bylaws with respect to it and to see if I need to do anything further affirmatively each year. Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
I think
Yeah,
one
I
of the
think-
things- No, please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say that in terms of conflict of interest with respect to the board, I think it covers everything. I did hear you mention that out of an abundance of caution with respect to the rep staff, you severed some ties with your daughter. I think that was more out of an abundance of caution to avoid the appearance of conflicting relationships, and perhaps even your accountant, your personal accountant. I think you said, I'm not sure whether you said that or not.
Yeah, I did. And the this was for the board. My daughter's still on the staff as a researcher, but actually she's the only person on the staff that's not getting paid. I'm not paying her. But
Okay.
the accountant, that relationship just wasn't working out, period.
Oh, okay, that's something else.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I think Jeff was wanting to say something.
I was only gonna add that there is absolutely nothing wrong with organizations in their starting up phase. Sometimes, there's some donors that say, well, I don't want to pay for infrastructure. I only want to pay for programs. And then there are others that say, I understand you don't have programs unless you have an infrastructure. So if there is an organization that says we would like to fund your position for X number of years, they should just write that in a letter to you and say, here is the funding for it. And I think that covers all the responsibility that we would have as an organization, because quite frankly, getting you a salary and having you work full time is in the board's interest. So, and in the organization's interest, because this is, similar. It's not, I think it's more so with you than with the Who We Are project. We have a couple of consultants as well, but it's kind of like, your work is the project's work. So if you're not doing it and not taking care of yourself so you can do it, we kind of grind to a halt. So I just want to make sure that you don't have any hesitation or like, oh, is that fair or is that right? Just like they said, take this money and you can't use it for anything else but self-care. I'd be saying take that grant and you can't use it for anything else but a salary.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Because, the last thing I will just say is, and Andrea and I have talked about this a lot because we've had to deal with it a lot. There is this thing about not-for-profit work, especially work for racial justice, where it's like, oh, but it's your obligation, it's your passion, so you should do it for free. And it's like, fuck that shit. That's not right. And it devalues who we are and what we've accomplished and the amount of work that's put into it. Oh, it's like, oh, she got up on stage and did this presentation. That was great. It looks so easy. It's like, yeah, it looks so easy. That doesn't mean it was easy. That just means it looks easy because she's put in the time and talent and effort to make it look easy. So I just want to make sure to say as loudly as I can, we should not fall prey to that way of thinking. So don't feel like this is something special for you. This is what every organization should be doing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'd like to confirm what Jeff said. I'm the board chairman of a foundation known as the Unity Foundation for Sustained Change, and we've given over $1 million. We're kind of giving almost all of our money away. We have about $500,000 left. But everything that Jeff said is absolutely correct in terms of my organization, how we view things in terms of infrastructure grants and the sorts of narrowly tailored grants for certain initiatives, very similar to what Nkechi was saying. And I think Jeff is absolutely correct. And I say that as a funder. So that's all.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. And one of the reasons why I didn't take up salary is because you never know where your next money is going to come from or if it's going to come. And I wanted to make sure I was able to pay the people who are working with me on the stuff that I'm doing as part of rep, that's part of staff. Yeah. I'm also looking to bring on someone in a communications capacity also. So I am looking on that. All that went into my grant proposal for the grant for this term. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I just want, we are required pursuant to our bylaws to have a meeting, an annual meeting. I know the intent was to have more than an annual meeting. We only required, so we fulfilled the requirement. So I do want to know, do we want to meet more often? It's very hard to get this one scheduled because all of our schedules are really, really, really bad. I try to kind of let you all know when stuff is happening or when I'm doing things, but I just need to know what you all want as a board with respect to meetings, We don't have enough people to have committees. We don't even need that at that point, at this point. But I'm just putting it out there.
Nikichi, I'd like to hear what our board chair, Cynthia Roseberry, might want to say as to your proposal.
Thanks for that, Sherman. I was thinking at the very minimum, to keep it from being so difficult to schedule. I know the bylaws say September. I wonder if we shouldn't say, what is this, the second Tuesday in September, so that we can nail at least that down on our calendar and we know that's done. And then we can take, missives from you if we need to call a meeting at any other point. I think once, we have like more interaction, more projects to take on, we might want to meet more regularly. But, and I think it does narrow down to the support that you feel you need too, Nikichi, in carrying out the work. But I think the first thing it would be helpful to do is to say, September, maybe it's September 15th. I don't know. What's this? This is actually the third Friday in September.
We don't want Friday, but I kind of like when you said the second Tuesday, because I like that because that's kind of before CBC, Congressional Black Caucus. It's after the summer, even though it's still summer, but most folk are kind of back. Let me just look. And I wouldn't mind making something like that a default, but of course we can always change it as we, but as we're planning, let me just look at, what's that? I know I don't even have anything in 2024 yet.
At least we can have that in mind on our calendars, because.
So that would be like Tuesday, September the 10th. Does that, I know folk teach and like evening still works better for me. Friday wasn't a good time though, but I didn't, yeah. But what do you all think about the first Tuesday? And see, they all start
The
back
second Tuesday.
I meant the second Tuesday, not the first, but yeah.
Is that more helpful
That
for
makes
people's
sense.
calendars?
As a rebuttable presumption.
Yeah, but having it just so we have it there is a good idea.
Yeah, that we can sometime during the summer or something like that, if we need to change or yeah, I kind of like that too. I'm gonna put it in my calendar right now. Does evening kind of work better so that you're not conflicting with
Fine with me.
classes and stuff? Jeffrey, I didn't hear Jeff.
That's fine with me.
Just keep in mind that September 2024, Jeff will likely be on the West Coast. Well, I guess no, but the time difference works the right way, so never mind.
Oh, okay. So so like we did
Never
7 o'clock, it would be 4 o'clock there.
Yeah, that's great. In my head, I was switching it the other way. I was going to be like, yeah, it's gonna be really late, but it's the other direction. So yeah, I'm putting it on the calendar right now.
I'm just going to say 7 to 8. We probably don't need an hour and a half. I just did that rep annual board meeting. And we'll say second Tuesday. And I will, or the board chair will coordinate with folk to see if that still works when it gets closer to that time, right? I think I'm very comfortable with that. I'd like to say, just before we close, if you all would like to see the 8-minute Reparation 101 political education briefing, it's a little rough because we did it in conjunction with the youth. It wasn't sufficiently briefed, but it's what we have for right now as we're working on another one. Would you all like to see that?
I certainly would like to see it.
Yeah.
Also, since this is going to be the closeout, Nikichi, I'm not sure whether you sent us the 990.
I did, but I can resend it.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Okay.
I may have.
Does anyone else recall getting it, first of all?
Yeah,
Cynthia,
I may
yeah.
have it in my files, but if you send it
I
again,
can, I can resend it, no problem. I will
Okay.
resend it.
okay, I probably
just a-
have it.
It's just a click of the button. I just have to find the right button. But it's
All
there.
right.
It's-
I don't have anything else. Yeah, I'm waiting to see this presentation.
Yeah, let's put it on.
Okay, hold on. I gotta pull it up and share screen. Hold on one second. Let's see. Hold on. Y'all still there? Okay, wait a minute.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Okay, and let's see, go to resources. Oh, here it is. Okay, hopefully if I share my screen, it will come up, fingers crossed. Zoom. Okay, let's see if this works now. Share screen, fingers crossed. Yeah, there it is. Okay, do you see it on the screen? What do you see on the screen?
We see it.
We see it.
Okay, good.
Yep.
So I don't know why the chat is in the way. And this is in the way. Okay, let me hit press.
Welcome to Reparations 101 Political Education Briefing, brought to you by the Reparation Education Project
and Parable of the Sower Intentional Community Cooperative. So Mama Dachiki, just what is reparations?
Reparations are forms of redress provided to those who have suffered human rights abuses or other forms of widespread systemic injustices, or to their descendants, usually in the aftermath of war, enslavement, or other forms of gross injustice.
What other elements of reparations does reparations include?
The formal acknowledgement of historic wrong in an official, unfettered apology. The recognition that the injury has continued past the enslavement era and still manifests today. Justice. Now you tell us some of the other elements of reparations.
The commitment to redress by culpable parties, including the federal government, which sanctioned the enslavement and subsequent segregation, and by the state and local governments, industries, and corporate entities, academic and religious institutions, private estates, and other culpable entities, all of which enjoyed the unjust enrichment.
Yes, all of which enjoy unjust enrichment. And reparations include the actual redress in whatever form or forms are agreed upon.
They stole us, they sold us, they owe us.
Yes, indeed. And just as moreover, what are the 5 internationally accepted principles for reparations?
Number 1, cessation, guarantees of non-repetition. 2, restitution. 3, compensation. 3, satisfaction. And 5, rehabilitation. Mama Nkechi, as an elder, tell us a little bit about the history of reparations movement in the United States.
Yes, well, 2 of the first formal records of petitions for reparations that were pursued and won came from formerly enslaved Black women, Belinda Sutton Royal and Henrietta Wood, who successfully sued their former enslavers' estates, Belinda in Massachusetts and Henrietta in Kentucky. At the end of the Civil War, newly freed Black leaders worked very closely with General Sherman in fashioning the concept of 40 acres, which he incorporated in his special field order number 15, only to have the reparations provision stripped by President Andrew Johnson. In 1898, Callie House and Isaiah Dickinson spearheaded the first mass-based reparations movement in the United States, the National Ex-Slave Mutual Relief Bounty and Pension Association, whose mission was to organize mutual aid for its members and to pass federal pension legislation that would compensate formerly enslaved persons. Callie House was wrongfully convicted and imprisoned for her grassroots organizing work. On the heels of House's movement was Marcus Garvey and the Universal Negro Improvement Association during the early part of the 20th century, which also galvanized thousands of supporters. A Garvey follower, born in 1898 in Louisiana, and later to be known as Queen Mother Audley Moore, championed the cause of reparations throughout the 20th century, perhaps being the most vocal Black nationalist and Pan-Africanist advocate for reparations during the 1950s and 60s. She was active in every major reparations movement until she became an ancestor in 1996 at the age of 97.
I have heard that Queen Mother Moore inspired people in both the civil rights and Black Power movements, including Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, James Foreman, and the Black Panther Party, the Republic of New Africa, and even more.
And it was these movements that inspired the Japanese Americans to unify their efforts, resulting in the 1988 passage of the Civil Liberties Act, which granted them reparations for their unjust incarceration during World War II.
So, Mama Nkechi, what comes next?
Well, we had the 1987 establishment of NCOBRA, the National Coalition of Blacks for Reparations in America, who worked closely with Congressman John Conyers in formulating H.R. 40, the Federal Reparations Study Bill first introduced in 1988 and continues today under the leadership of Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee. In 2014, we saw the publication of Ta-Nehisi Coates' article in the Atlantic magazine's Case for Reparations, which galvanized a whole new generation to the issue of reparations. And in 2015, we saw the formation of NARC, the National African American Reparations Commission, comprised of professionals, and we saw the formation of the Reparations Education Project, a new organization with historic roots in the modern era of reparations activism. Senator Cory Booker introduced the Senate companion bill to H.R. 40 in the Senate. Land stolen from Bruce's Beach in California is returned to the descendants and reparations paid. It is revealed that Georgetown University stands today because of the enslaved peoples that were sold to keep the school financially stable. The city of Evanston, Illinois, used a reparations model to rectify housing redlining discrimination. The state of California established the first statewide reparations passport and held historic hearings.
And guess what's more? We have corporations such as Amalgamated Bank coming on board, and even Ben & Jerry's Ice Cream has issued a call for other corporations to support reparations.
Justice, bring the history down to today and tell us what happened in 2020 and its aftermath.
We saw the backlash from the Trump era, Black books being banned. We saw the murder of George Floyd. There were demonstrations everywhere. 2020 candidates for the Democratic presidential nominations were vocal on the issues of reparations. We saw a whole slew of new organizations dedicated to reparations affairs, as well as interest from funders.
Reparations stakeholders include Black-led organizations,
Descendant advocacy groups,
allied organizations.
faith-based groups,
It's a global movement as well.
interest from funders,
Academics and lawyers.
and government and federal and state and local.
Justice, just what do you and your friends at Got Reparations and Parable the Sower intentional community feel when you hear the word reparations?
Inspired, connected, energized, grateful, fire, hope, comforted, fellowship, encouraged, hopeful, faithful, enraged, black-tastic. Mama Nkechi, when you hear the word reparations, what do you reflect on?
Liberation, redemption, give it back, redistribute, recompensate, humble, rebuild, solidarity, convergence, culture, empower, respect, amplify, progress, repair, leverage, dilemma, reimagine, unrestricted, limitless, decolonize promising.
250 years of slavery, 90 years of Jim Crow, 60 years of separate but equal, 35 years of state-sanctioned redlining until we reckon with the compounding moral debts of our ancestors, America will never be whole.
Yes, that is indeed the case for reparations. Brothers and sisters, allies and others, thank you for joining our Reparations 101 political education briefing.
Join the movement.
The movement for
Reparations now.
All right.
Oh, that was cute, Nkechi.
Yeah, we need to do it over.
Hey, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, you got them to do it, and just like having people do this, and the people contributing to it, they won't be the same.
Yeah. It was pulling hen's teeth there, but
Oh, I bet it was. I bet it was.
okay, so board members, thank you very much. For this annual meeting, we will have the minutes and the notes out. I will send out the 990 and continue to keep you all informed and apprised of our activities. And each of you really brings so much to this organization. The fact that I am even able to include you as part of the annual report just gives it so much more and gratis and just everything. So it's very helpful to me to be associated with you all in everything that you do. Thank you.
Right back at you.
Absolutely, Nkechi. Thanks, everybody. I
Everyone
look forward to the
take care.
day where we're having retreats and big fundraisers and big to do.
Oh, wait, one more thing. I'm sorry. Because that is part of the future plan. The future plan for 2024, which is written into the budget, is to have a board, staff, and stakeholder retreat. Board, staff, stakeholder. So stay tuned. It's going to be in 2024. I'm not quite sure where it's going to be or just what it's going to entail, but it's board, staff, stakeholder. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right. Love you all.
Thanks.
Love
Love
you.
you too.
Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Everybody.